we keep on trucking with exceptional watches. Still a few more independents to go through, and I remember when you got that one.
Were you there on that
Yeah,
night?
I was there.
Yeah, yeah.
I was there.
Yeah, well,
I was spurring you on. Yeah, get it.
overpaid. Anyway, yeah, Vianney Halter, Louis Erard. When this came out, I wanted to buy this, but it was a limited sale, a limited edition. It's 1,786 pieces that they do, and it had all sold out. So I didn't really give it much more thought until we were both at this event that Vianney Halter was attending, and they happened to have this for sale at this same event, and it was my birthday. So I was
everything is forgiven.
Unwittingly coerced into buying it.
Well, you bought it when Vianney is literally.
But he was literally in the room,
yeah.
yeah. And very graciously, he signed the box and made a kind of show of presenting it to me, which was being videoed as well. So I've got a video of him kind of presenting me the watch with the box with his signature on it and putting his arm around.
He opened the case and finished one of the parts of the movement. It's a secret. So this watch is actually worth $10,000 now. There you go. Yeah, collaboration with Louis Erard, the Louis Erard regulator display. Our seconds and minutes separated. Actually, do you enjoy the regulator?
I do actually, yeah, I like it. I love the Antiqua, of course, is such an amazing watch. Yeah. And I have one of my customers, who's a friend of mine as well, has an Antiqua, a very early one. I think it's number 3. And it's just a phenomenal watch. And so this is a little bit of Vianney in the watch. I mean, when I was speaking to him about it, and he said that he found it very challenging because to work with an existing layout, and he hasn't made a regulator himself. I don't think he has anyway. And so he found the whole thing quite a test. It wasn't as simple as it might seem, and he spent a very, very long time trying to come up with this dial to fit this into this existing footprint.
So he designed the dial?
He designed the dial, yeah. And obviously the hands. And I think it really does say Vianney Halter, literally as well, but it really does speak his language completely. So, yeah, I think it's quite a cool little watch. And Louis Erard is a very cool brand. I mean, the only thing I don't like about this is it's the 42mm. I wish it was 40. It would be so much nicer. But Louis Erard, a small independent company, of course they're using off-the-shelf movements, so that's where they're saving the money, and they stick with this format of this regulator module, which means that they do a range of these watches that are all very similar apart from the dial design changing. But you know, it's Manuel Emsch is the guy that's in charge of Louis Erard. He was formerly with Jacques Dreux, so if you ever look at a Jacques Dreux, you will see the case is very, very similar with these quite long pointed lugs that point down and this rather pudding bowl shaped case. It's quite a signature of Jacques Dreux.
Wait, that's this one as
yeah,
well.
Sure. But yeah, they've done some amazing watches that are, again, much more affordable. So it's a nice way to get into.
Well, you got a taste now. I got the Chiking.
Oh, you got that one, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Fun taste, and my kids thought I was a bit childish. Imagine, my kids.
What? No,
she's
never.
7. My daughter was looking at me like, "Daddy, what are you buying?" Something I really wanted to show people from your collection is a watch from Hong Kong.
The Aeonique.
Through and through.
Yeah, it's a group of young guys who sell these watches in a kit form that you can buy and assemble them yourself. And also they run workshops in their little shop in anyway, that place
somewhere
in Kowloon. And they came up with this watch where they've made the main plate for the movement, and they were making the hairspring, the train of wheels they were buying in, which is regular Celita stuff, but the main plate and the other plates for the movement were made locally in Hong Kong. The hairspring was also being made locally, but unfortunately the company that was making the hairsprings have relocated to China because it's just cheaper. So no longer is that part of it being made in Hong Kong. But it was quite an achievement for these young guys to be able to do the programming for the CNC machines, to come up with this skeletonized movement with machine beveling, which has a nice little sparkle to it. It's not perfect, but that's not what it's about. It's about their determination and to have the Made in Hong Kong logo on the dial, because also they're up against the financial restrictions that America have imposed on Hong Kong, which I think is very unfortunate because it stifles. These restrictions are designed to hurt the political leadership in Hong Kong, but actually what they really do is just hurt the people. And so they could sell this they have to sell it at a certain price, otherwise they can't label it made in Hong Kong. They have to label it made in China. And they're
An interesting perspective.
Yeah,
to learn about that and a bit of the struggle of manufacturing here in Hong Kong.
And these young kids, they're very what should we say? I mean, back in 2019, when Hong Kong was going through its troubles, I guess these kids would be very much on the side of wanting independence for Hong Kong and wanting a free Hong Kong and so on. But unlike many, they've stayed behind and they've decided that the situation is what it is and they have to adapt to it and have to learn to live with it, like we all are doing. And they're very passionate about staying here and having a Hong Kong made product. And I admire them for that.
Very special.
And so, and also this watch is called the Braemar. And if you look out of the window behind me, that is Braemar Hill. So it was kind of a no-brainer.
Well, speaking of young watch makers, did get Dumoro.
The Dumoro, yeah.
La Dumoro. Carlo Aiello, and I believe you spoke to him, right?
Yes, I've had a lot of chats with Carlo because, in fact, we've since come up with a Hong Kong edition of this watch.
Right, so you're very much involved in the watch groups. Several different enthusiast groups. And so if people keep track on my channel, you've seen the presentation of this very same watch, the Dumoro, which runs a beautifully decorated manual wound Celita. Great size and beautiful little winglet type of lugs.
It's just
really
such
a great personality.
Good design, isn't it? I mean,
it gets very dark blue. Very evocative. There's different colors. The blue is really nice, but you're working on a special project.
Well, we are, yeah. Carlo Aiello, the guy who's designed this, he's a Californian architect and designer, and he's a watch collector. So that's kind of why he did this. It was a personal project. It wasn't really a big money-making idea. It's not his main business. Architecture is his main business. It's just a fun thing to do, but. He's engaged a Swiss company to do the manufacturing. So these are made by Roventa Hennex in Switzerland. And they are a company that specialise in taking on small commissions like this for maybe corporate. Google, for example, do watches. And it's the sort of company that would make a watch for Google, for example. Google and Facebook have huge watch groups internally. Tudor have done some interesting watches for Google, actually. One of my customers is a Google employee who was showing me them. Anyway, we digress. This is just such an amazingly beautiful piece of design. The case is beautifully made. It feels like... Did you ever notice that the bezel flows organically into the case? Did you ever notice that? How it's like a pebble.
It's great when they manage this.
And the crystal does as well. The edges of the crystal just flow into the bezel. So the whole thing feels like a smooth pebble. And that's what Carlo wanted to do. So, we've come up with a Hong Kong special edition, which will have a red dial. The Bohemia star will be engraved on the end of the crown, and it will just say Hong Kong limited edition on the case back. And the other difference is that the hands and the printed numerals will be luminous. The red colour is quite a shocking red colour because we based it on the Hong Kong flag, and there is a Pantone number for the Hong Kong flag colour, which is quite bright. It's just really bright, and it caused a little bit of concern among the people that have bought into this, but we all ended up agreeing that that's what we started off with, that's what we should do. And Carlo, I know, was quite pleased that we did stick with the original choice because he particularly likes it. So it's quite a striking watch, but it will look the same as that, but red.
And another small, indeed, the Kurono. I've reviewed a couple of these watches on the channel. It's Japan brand, and they partnered with a independent watchmaker.
Hajime Asaoka, yeah, that's right.
Asaoka, who wanted to offer something more affordable, so it worked. I think Kurono existed before him, right?
The brand already existed, yeah, the company existed, and they used to be called Chrono Tokyo. Right. And they were sold through a particular shop, and I can't remember the name of the shop. But Kurono Tokyo means chrono Tokyo. Kurono is the Japanese word for chrono. Right. So they simply rebranded it when Asaoka came on board. So it's his design, but it's their manufacture, and it uses a Miyota movement. So again, nice, reliable, reasonably good quality, easy to service movement. In this just incredible design that Asaoka is famous for. And they are beautifully made, there's no question. The case is really, really well made. It's really good quality. The dial is really beautifully made. The hands are nicely made. And this strap is from the partner company called, I've forgotten the bloody name, Hiroshige.
Oh, right.
And this is made from goat skin. Deer skin, I beg your pardon. And it's the same leather that would be used on a Japanese samurai armour. And the dotted paint you see on here is the proper urushi lacquer on this deer skin in this deep shade of violet. I mean, it's just when you get it in the sunlight, these dots are kind of a golden yellow colour, and then this violet purple colour is just such an incredible colour. So it seems an odd pairing, but it does work quite well, actually.
Yeah, it's original. You have an eye for these things. Of course, you work every day with straps, so it is. If someone knows about straps, good reminder that if you're in Hong Kong, whether you live here or a lot of people just come for the first time and have been living in Hong Kong for their whole life. Every day you have for first timers coming for a custom job or for one of the brands you sell in the shop.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've probably made. I calculated recently, I've done about 600 bespoke straps in the years that I've been there.
I think we've covered all the indies.
Actually, there's one more,
left?
just one. And the purple colour of that strap leads you perfectly onto this watch, which you may or may not recognise. It's looking a little bit grubby, actually. And it's not the original strap. This is actually a rubber B for a Rolex that just happens to fit this. The original rubber strap flares out to cover the ends of the lugs and is quite big and chunky and has a rather crude looking buckle. Quite. But this is a Minase, and this one is known as the Shinzo Abe because the Shinzo Abe, the former Prime Minister of Japan, who's now dead, of course, who was assassinated, wore this watch. He was a bit of a watch collector himself, and his wife bought him this watch. But there is a famous photograph of him pointing, and behind him you've got Trump and Macron looking in the direction that Abe is pointing, and he's wearing this very watch in that photograph. It was quite a famous picture at the time as well. It was when they had one of the G7 or G8 summits, and when Trump was was president. And so it's known as the Shinzo Abe. And Minase are just like
So how did it come
really.
into your collection?
I came across the brand on some online publication, and this came up actually on Carousel, and it was fairly cheap, and so I bought it. So it's pre-owned when I bought it. But the method of construction is like nothing else. It's so unconventional and so non-watchmaker-like. But they're a fiercely proud little company. They insist on only employing local people and training them to become watchmakers and watch assemblers rather than employ people who are already experienced in that field. So they're very passionate about keeping the employment local to support the local economy. They are also suppliers for the watch industry. They supply tooling, drills in particular, and their drill is what is often used to drill the crown tube in a watch case. And their logo is based on that as well. So if you look at the logo on the crown, you'll see it's like a sort of a V shape. That's actually the shape of the drill that they make, the drill bit that they make that will drill out the crown tube hole. And they are also expert in zaratsu, as they call it, polishing. And I believe they are a subcontractor for Grand Seiko. They take on some of Grand Seiko's polishing work. But I'm not sure if that's true or not. The dial is hand-hammered before it's lacquered and whatever else they do, painted and lacquered. But that's actually done by hand. So each dial is individual.
I wouldn't mind doing that, hammering. Down
Yeah,
there.
so it's literally a sheet of metal and they just hammer
What
it.
do you think I could do about watchmaking?
They insist on using a Swiss movement, so it's an ETA movement in there. They absolutely insist on that because in their eyes, the Swiss are the best. And although the newer
would be pleased.
the newer ones are using a 2892 movement, where this one is a 2824.
Okay.
But so there's been a slight upgrade since. But they only make a few hundred watches a year. It's very, very low production. And as I say, they're fiercely proud of it. They now have a Swiss guy who is helping them to market the watch, so they're becoming a bit more widely known. They do some astonishingly beautiful Urishi lacquer hand-painted dials in some of the other series. The square watch they do, which they call the 5 windows and the 8 windows, which is to do with the number of little glass windows around the side of the case. All, I mean, just the most intricate hand painting work. I mean, just beautiful watches. They're definitely a company that people should take a look at. Yeah, I love it. I think it's a great little watch.
We learned so much today. Maybe before we finish this part, can you tell me what what this is?
This was my sister-in-law very generously gave me this. She lives in Macau, but she's from China, and she is friends with the owner of this company.
Oh, right.
And this particular company were, according to what I'm told, did supply some of the carbon cases for Richard Mille. And in fact, they actually do produce a line of watches that look very similar to Richard Mille, but they're produced under a Chinese brand name and mostly sold in China. Right. And they also produce this watch, which is actually using a copy of the Apple Watch case. So if you look at the back, the case back, you've got that same domed part,
That's
which
very
would have
unusual for a Chinese company to copy anything.
But even the strap, this is actually a strap from the Apple store that I bought just to fit in this. But inside is a Miyota, it's a 9015 movement. It's with the crown placed. The crown is designed to look as if it's sticking out of the side, but it's actually at a 45-degree angle. Right. To line up with a movement. I just thought it's really cool. I took this into the Apple store and showed the guys in there. Two of the members of staff actually bookmarked the website so they could order one for themselves. So you've got, it's the ultimate version of the Alp watch from Moser, because this really is in an Apple Watch case. It's got the same Gorilla Glass screen as the Apple Watch.
So the name of the company is MX?
MX. That's not their name. That's the model of the watch. I'll have to revert to you later on the name of the brand. I can't remember.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But it's not widely for sale in the Western world. It's more for sale in China. And this dial is some kind of carbon fibre. It's a really unusual dial. It's genuine carbon fibre, but I'm not quite sure how they've made it.
Nice watch to wear at the opera.
And definitely a nice watch to wear in London, because you certainly wouldn't get attacked for that.
Oh, I will take a short break and move on to the last part of the video.
All right.